Hello, hello, my intelligent rebels. I'm actually with Rick. Hey Rick, what's up, man?
Olivier.
Yeah, and we are here in San Diego, California, and actually we had quite a bit of fun, like in the previous days, because we went to private flight and we helped organize everything.
Yep,
And
G4.
G4, man, and it was the first time I have to say I took a private flight. It was really, really awesome.
Yeah.
It's interesting because we just mentioned these like by joking, like 1 year ago when we were stuck together at an airport with other people, other entrepreneurs, and you said, I used to fly private and it's awesome, we should do it again. And it made me curious about your previous life, because now you're a successful entrepreneur.
Yep.
You sold your company not a long time ago, your software company for a good amount of money.
Yeah.
So you don't have anything to prove to anyone. So it's awesome today, but it was not the case for all your entrepreneurial life, because like most entrepreneurs, you had your struggles.
Yep.
And you shared something that is really interesting. It's like you almost lose all your money during the 2001 crisis, right?
Yes.
So you agreed to talk about that in this interview, because it's so interesting, because we mostly only see people talking about their successes on YouTube. And I think it's really important to show also that, yes, it's good to have success, but it's usually very difficult to have success without having big failures, and sometimes big failures.
Agreed.
So thank you for agreeing to share that.
It took me 20 years so I could talk about it.
Oh, really? Okay. Is it the first time you do it on the video?
On video, yeah.
Wow, okay.
Lots of therapy.
A lot of therapy, man, okay. So let's start by, what was your business just before the crisis?
Well, at that time, so in the 90s, we had the internet business, and we used to call those the go-go days, because anything internet was big time, right? Money was flowing, you didn't have trouble raising money, didn't have any trouble making money. And we had a really cool business, grew it from zero to tens of millions in a very short period of time. And then sold that off. I guess it was right around, 99, end of 99. And so, I thought I'd never have to work again. I mean, we were very comfortable. My wife and I were, we got a plane, we had a house on the beach, we had a couple of other homes in the city, cars. I started a car business. Started an angel fund.
Car business,
oh my
really?
gosh, yeah. Newsled.com. Check out my new sled,
Okay. So it was like selling cars online?
Yeah, on the internet, before eBay Motors.
Wow.
It was just on regular eBay back then.
Okay.
And then we...
you had the feeling that everything was possible on the internet, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I was investing in all these other tech companies, and I started my own angel fund, and the business concepts that I was investing in were quite sound. I mean, Digital Signatures was one of the companies, not DocuSign, but a competitor to them. And but it didn't matter. I mean, when late 2001 came around, when the crash happened, anything that had the word .com or tech on it just completely fell to pieces like a house of cards, including all the money that went with that, right? So I always tell people, it's like, I don't know why they call it angel investing, because all of my investments went straight to hell. But it's...
everyone lost faith immediately in the entire industry. You could not raise money anymore.
Exactly. And the premise of many of the businesses were dependent on that second round of funding, which just wasn't going to come. So they couldn't make it. So they basically folded the doors. And I like to tease, it's like one of the investments I made when they were liquidating all the furniture and everything like that, all I got was a floor lamp. And I tell people that was a $500,000 lamp. Because that's how much I lost out of just that business.
Okay. All right.
So we kept a few souvenirs. But yeah, it was a tough time, because my wife and I had to sell the beach home, which we loved.
Wow.
We had to sell all the cars, all the homes in the city, moved to a really small home, and which, that by itself is, again, those are material things. It wasn't that big a deal. In fact, I don't think it was the material goods.
It was like the adventure that was going to
exactly. But it was the emotional thing that was so hard.
How did you learn about, when did you know for sure that you couldn't continue? Well, I'm sure you had hope even after it began.
I mean, it was probably summer of 2000 when it was looking like everything was going bad, and we kept throwing bad money after good, or good money after bad, and and kept trying and kept thinking it's just a small correction. We're going to come out of it. We'll get the second rounds of funding. Everything will be fine. And it just never happened.
Yeah, because you were, before the crisis, you were sure that you will get investors to,
exactly. Right.
For the second
So I was
part.
like doing all the seed rounds, the initial investments, thinking that I was going to be able to cash those out for 5x or 10x the initial investment within 1 to 2 years. And had the crash not happened, that probably exactly how it would have turned out. But it was not to be. And so it was a pretty emotional roller coaster, because I remember being in Florida on the Gulf of Mexico in our beach home, and we had what we called an estate sale, as if somebody had died, and we opened up the home. People came in, and we just started selling furniture and everything
on the go,
right there,
wow.
and they carried it out of the house right then
wow.
and there. And these are pieces of art and things that we had collected and memories, and obviously not the pictures of family and those kind of things. But
does it mean you had debt that you had to pay?
No, it's just
you had credits, mortgage for your house.
We had just lost so much money that we needed to liquidate for cash, to
pay for the provider or something.
Right. Yeah, because at that time, I had this stupid decision that I don't need to work. I can get my money to work for me, and the investments that I put that money in were, very, very high risk, high reward, but very high risk.
Like startups.
Yeah, and I didn't. I didn't spread that risk. So that's one of the things I always tell people now when I'm coaching with them, how to spread risk, how to mitigate risk, how to have a backup plan, which we did not have at the time. At that time, I was still very young, in my 30s. So I thought, hey, we could take over the world, right?
Yeah.
And so anyway, it was tough. It was very tough. But I had a very good partner by my side. She stuck with me through the whole thing. That was pretty
That's maybe
amazing.
Like it's awesome that that she went through this and she's
still
with you.
Here. Yeah.
Yeah. So she was not there only for your money.
Yeah, and certainly not my looks, right?
Right.
So yeah, she stuck through it, and we did okay. And we weren't homeless and out on the street. We just needed to get rid of all the extravagant things. And then we just moved into a nice small, 2,000 square foot small home, which is still very big by most people's.
Yeah, but for you it was like really a downgrade, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. But it actually turned out very good, because we had a small child at that time, and we ended up putting in, a regular school, regular kids, regular life. I mean, we went back to living a nice middle class life as opposed to this extravagant, what I would call go-go life, which is probably better suited for, a single guy who is traveling the world, like my friend here.
I have a minimalist lifestyle. I'm like very, very low-key, but I'm sure some people enjoy the kind of things.
Yeah.
And I mean, what I love is like, when I want to buy something, unless it's super expensive, like a jet plane,
right.
I don't have to look at the price.
Exactly.
More or less.
Exactly.
And it's awesome to have this freedom. And I know if I want to fly somewhere and I can stay 2 weeks in a 5-star hotel and not really look at the bill, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But so how does it feel to go from this place where you have this abundance of money and you can translate it in any kind of things to a place where you have to really look at what you're spending? And
well, I have to give a lot of credit to my upbringing, because we started out with no money as a kid, so we weren't like homeless or anything like that, but lower middle class, didn't have a lot of money, and $2 on shoes. We didn't, as opposed to people spending $100 on shoes. But it was very, very humbling to go through that process. I was never scared that we were going to go hungry. I could always find a job. I could always create another business. I could always do something. I still had my health, which is everything. But the emotional trauma and the ego trauma was probably worse than anything. There was no physical things that happened to me that were bad. It was just, here and here. Because when you're on top and you have a lot of money, you tend to feel like that you're, you don't have to worry anymore, that you don't have to worry about economic indicators or things of that nature. And you can put yourself in those positions. I didn't know about those things back then. I didn't know how to protect my wealth at that time. We just bought a lot of fun stuff and had a lot of great times. And my wife had a very good statement. She says, even with all of that gone, and after it was all over and we took stock of our lives, we said, we're just grateful to have a beautiful child, our health, and a place over our head. But we had memories. We did things in those couple of years in our lives that most people never do in their lifetimes.
Yeah.
So we took and tried to cherish the memories. And we had videos of everything, so we'd watch those and have our own little popcorn parties. And
wasn't it a bit painful to watch the videos?
What's that?
It was not a bit painful to watch?
Not with, well, certainly some of them, we just didn't watch. But, we, watching our child on the beach play, watching the waves come in, that part was, because those moments were so wonderful, the family moments. And, and everybody talks about when they go through traumatic experiences like this, that, if you have a family, it's so much easier. And I can attest that's very true. But that family can also be friends, too. It doesn't have to be blood family. You can have really close friendships that can pull you through those things. For us, it's the mastermind group, right?
Right.
We, no matter how bad things are going, no matter how good things are going,
we have a family.
We can pick up the phone, we can type, and we've got instant support. And so you've got to have things like that.
Yeah, because we are both part of Jeff's Walker Mastermind.
Yeah. And I think you have a mastermind as well, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So building that friendship and trust, even outside of family, sometimes is equally as important as having family itself, because your family can't really understand the business part and the failure part. From my wife's perspective, it was, you can just go get a job, no problem. Okay,
but for you, it was impossible, right?
Well, I'm unemployable. I dropped out of college in my second year so that I could start a business.
Congrats, man, like me.
I know. So, and my mom and dad were mad. It's like 5 weeks before finals, and I said, "I've had enough of this. We're out of here." So, but it's amazing. I knew that I'd be able to start over, but it was a few years before I could get back into it again. And
so, what did you do?
Well, right now, because we just got through, we built another software company.
But just after the first one fell?
No, I probably took a sabbatical, I don't know, for probably 18 months.
And for 18 months, you didn't have to make money? You had sufficient?
Well, no, we had just enough money to, just the essentials. And so that's what I'm saying. We weren't hurting. We weren't homeless. But we had to get something going fairly quickly.
I mean, even though you did bad investment, you still had a reserve of 18 months?
We had to borrow some to make that.
Okay.
And that gets pretty scary, because then you got to pay that back.
Right.
And so that's not too fun. But then we started another software company. I finally got off my ass and got out of the depression stage.
Well, 18 months is pretty short, actually.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's not what my wife thought, though. That wasn't fast enough. So,
I mean, some people don't recover at all from these kind of things.
Well, and that was kind of scary for me, because even though I was working in the other company and we had some new cash coming in, it still wasn't growing and exploding and all those kind of things, because I still had all these doubts. I was still dealing with that, like, is it going to happen again? Is the economy going to crash next year? And so I was very careful about everything we did, very slow on decisions. And it's tough to grow a business exponentially when you're constantly afraid.
Do you think like this prudence, this cautiousness you had, were useful to have a better business, or was it really slowing everything down?
I'll tell you where it was useful. When we sold this business, it made me more careful, more conservative, and a better investor. So now I truly believe.
So the second business you created after the crash was the business you sold a few months ago.
But it took 15 years to build that.
Wow.
And you and I were talking about that a few days ago, and it's like, if I would not have had that fear, if I would have gotten over that fear and just jumped right into the next thing, it probably only took 3 to 5 years.
So in the end, you think it hurt? Okay.
Yeah. And by hurt, I mean obviously that there's the ego that was hurt, not physical hurt, but it hurt the growth of the new business by not making decisions quickly enough or not taking on certain projects because of that fear and that failure. So it's like being stuck in quicksand, and even though you're no longer in the quicksand, you still feel it around you. There's still that claustrophobia that's around you, even though you're no longer in there, but you have that memory of that pain and that feeling, and it takes a while to get over. It's pretty weird. Yeah, because who would have thought that was going to happen? It was everybody was supposed to be rich, and it was going to be wonderful and a new weird.
And you didn't even need a business plan. You didn't even need to make money directly from the customers, right?
Exactly.
It was like
make them happy, money comes in.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, it was tough, but that's the message I would leave with everyone is that that fear just stops you in your tracks from everything. But where it came in handy is when we sold this company a couple years ago, and then we had another windfall. So now we've got cash again, right? Mm-hmm. So instead of going out and buying all the extravagant things that we did before, we did nothing. We made very good, safe investments. I'm a lot older now, so there's once you get on the back nine of the golf course, you've got less holes to play.
Yeah.
So
right.
So
what you mean is like if tomorrow you are bankrupt again, it will be harder to recover, right?
Exactly.
And you will have less time.
Exactly. I have less time on this planet than time that I've used. So that starts to really make you think, and so that cautiousness still is there, but now it has allowed me to deep dive into learning how to protect those investments and do the correct ones, and not just anybody that comes up throwing money like I was doing before. So.
And what is the subject of the software company you created, the second one?
So the second one, this one we did here, it was a software company for contact centers. So it was, you go into these big enterprise companies and they have customer service people answering the phone, and they have screen pops that come up and it tells them what to do and all that. So we were those screen pop software and the telephone software that the big contact centers would use. And we had a good ride. We did a good job. That same software is still being used today by the company that purchased us, so it's going well.
And how do you get the idea to do this kind of company while you were still like in depression and?
Well, I've done. That was my fifth or sixth software company. So I've done software all my life. Mm-hmm. So that's what's comfortable for me. That you'd call it my swim lane, I guess. And so I knew that I would do software again, and a couple of contacts that I had from the previous company needed some help, so I started consulting with them. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of somehow I made some of the money that kept us going for those few months just through consulting. And then I recognized a problem that they had with their customer service system and rewrote software to help them with that, and then that became the company. It's a customer service software company at that point.
Okay. So
solve one person's problem, and most likely there are other companies or people that have that same problem, so you just could replicate the solution. And that's kind of how all businesses should be formed. It's like if you can find one person or one company that you can solve their problem, I'll guarantee you there's a bunch of other people with that exact same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So replicate the solution. That's how you make success. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And were there any point during these 18 months, or maybe even later, where you thought maybe you could not create any company?
There was some ultimate doubts in the very beginning because we had just got through selling everything. So it's not like I could go to the beach and hang out and meditate because that was all gone, right? But it was. There was a few months there where I thought I was going to have to go get a job, and I mean that hurt. That hurt worse.
For most entrepreneurs, I'm trying to imagine it will be such a struggle.
I know,
man. For most entrepreneurs, it's just like hell, living hell. Yeah,
exactly. I mean,
we are so passionate about creating our own adventure and our path through life that it's like,
freedom is one of my most cherished values.
Yeah, right.
And if I'm sitting in an office or a cube working for someone else, it's just claustrophobic. It's awful. That's why I call myself unemployable, and probably most of us do. But for the ones that are trying to build a new business or doing something, at night or on weekends while they're still working, God bless them, because that's even harder. Trying to do both. And I really have a lot of respect for people that do that because, they're getting this done first. They're building a little bit first before they just up and quit. Because many people, they just quit and go right into it with not enough money or capital. and they're gone within 6 months, you know.
Right.
Whereas if they build it up first, you know, replace their salary, then they can let this go and move forward with it. So I have a lot of respect for those people. It's just, I can't do that. I don't have the strength for that. I can't, it's very painful to think about having to go get a job.
Oh man, it is. I mean,
so the fear of having to get a job was stronger than the fear of failure. So that's why I finally built the other company.
That's really something that can give us a lot of energy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And did you have any hard time to raise money for this new adventure?
No, zero. We started with zero, bootstrapped everything from scratch. The first
you didn't need money. You just
no. At that time, I could still program, so they don't let me touch code anymore.
Really?
No. I'm the old guy of the group now. I've risen to my own level of incompetence, is what they say.
All right.
So, but at that time, we just we worked for that one customer, and we solved their problem, and that was about a 6-month project. And then we took what we did on that 6 months, because obviously we had permission to do that. And then turn that into a piece of software that we could then go sell to others. So in that 6 months, there was not a lot of overhead. You know, it was me and one other person. So we didn't have a lot to worry about as far as salaries and office. We didn't even have an office. We were doing it all out of our home.
So you really started like in a lean startup way, meaning no cost,
exactly.
no nothing.
Yeah.
That's what you want to do when you start.
In your home office, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or your garage.
Exactly.
All right.
And the garage was our garage is a little dirty, so we took the study and
all right, so it's actually an upgrade from most startups.
one of the bedrooms.
Okay.
But then after that project, we were able to replicate it.
Were you excited when you started again? When you were like,
yeah, mostly, but
with this fear,
with this little thing looking over my shoulder, you know.
Do you think you could have survived psychologically to another failure?
I don't think I have. I don't know if I can answer that question.
Okay,
that's a tough question. That's a good question. I'll need to meditate on that one. But it's you always have that thing on your shoulder that's like, you know, you shouldn't be here. Why are you doing this? You're going to fail again. So I mean, this little internal stupid voice, I call it, that we all fight on a daily. You know, as an entrepreneur, you fight that every day. And you know, now when I talk to entrepreneurs, I say you just got to push through that. And there was a guy that was teaching me, and one of my mentors from years ago, he said, you got to get past the suck, you know? And I love that because it's, you know, life sucks sometimes. Business sucks sometimes. Customers suck sometimes.
I love this quote, like you have to pass through the suck.
Yes, exactly. And you just have to plow through it.
Yeah. I don't think you can translate it in French like that.
Right,
like,
I know. You'll have to think
very Englishy.
Yeah, exactly. You'll have to come up with some combination that'll be good. But if you don't, I mean, because we all have that fear.
Absolutely, yeah.
It doesn't matter what we're doing, how successful we are, that thing is always there. That possibility but that has to turn into a motivation. You know, the motivation, but not something that consumes you. So it consumed me for months, and which is why I think it took so long for us to grow. Once I got a few customers going, and it looked like this could be successful, I was then able to let go of the fear and then be exciting. And you could tell it in sales. Because when you're talking to customers, they can smell that fear, right? I really believe one of the reasons we got that first customer is because they were people that we had worked with before and they knew us. So
otherwise, you think they would have...
I don't think I could go in blind to somebody I didn't know, at least not at that moment in time. Because customers smell that. You can't show that you're afraid.
No.
You know, you have to just...
No, you have to be overconfident, to show that.
Exactly.
They wouldn't want to do business with a company they think will not be there in 6 months, right?
Exactly, so, right. You know, and even and it's funny you mentioned that, and I'm glad you said that, because I had some customers, in the first year, that were a little worried about that, but they were totally willing to do business with us because at that time we had so much confidence in our solution and our confidence of where we were going to be. They didn't care. They just wanted that. The solution was so good, they needed it and they wanted it. So the thought process of how long is that company going to be there was down lower on the list because of the confidence we were able to build in the sales process once we got over the fear.
Right.
Actually, me.
Yeah, your partner was.
He was fine. I mean,
he was the same partner with.
No, it was a new partner.
So maybe that's why too.
He was fine. He didn't, he had it was a single guy, no family, didn't have any overhead.
He could lose everything and not
nothing to lose, right? Yeah. So
did that help you? This energy?
Yes, it did, because I was able to, neither one of us could pay that much, for salary in the beginning. We know how that is. You don't, when you're first starting out, you don't pay yourself at all. Sometimes you're usually paying to work there. And, so because he was in that position in life, he didn't need a lot of money at the beginning either. And then as we got more money, we paid each other, bigger salaries as we were able to do that. So, and then he passed away right in the middle of the project, like
really?
A few years later. 44 years old, from a heart attack. God bless him. And
wow.
And so we had to keep going without him. We did. We had enough going on at that time and enough employees at that time to make it work. But I really miss him to this day.
Wow.
And I would have liked for him to have been involved
in the selling. Yeah.
Because he would have done really well. But the good news is we kept his shares and his mom, and we were able to take care of her after the sale.
Oh, that's
give her
cool.
a nice thing. So that was nice.
Yeah,
so that felt good. Yeah, that felt really good to be able to do that. So, but yeah, it's
quite all right.
Yeah, it's really can be tough at times. And if there's people out there that are watching us have this conversation, they're either going through that or are afraid to go through that. I hope that there's something that we say that, will guide them or help them get over that fear.
Guys, I mean, if you are still here, it means you are really motivated by the story. And just know that it's quite common to have struggles as an entrepreneur.
Yep.
I mean, not everyone lose everything, but it can happen. And I mean, some people like Steve Jobs, you can get fired from your own company.
Right, exactly.
And it's the worst, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not only you created a business, your ego is
he created an entire industry.
Yeah, right, exactly. And and it still was fired. So and probably for good reasons.
Yeah.
Probably at the time.
Yeah, and again, that turned out to be fantastic, because when he came back, he came back stronger, better, more creative, wiser, and I think that's where the failure comes in. If failure does have a purpose, it does create wisdom, or it's supposed to anyway.
Do you think? I think it's a case for you, right?
In business, it definitely did that. I still do stupid things like dune buggy racing and.
Like what?
Dune buggy racing, things that now I'm doing things to where I hurt myself, but it's I still like having a good time, and I should probably have more fear when I'm out racing than I.
Okay.
But it's a lot of fun.
And you mentioned at the beginning that it's the first time you're speaking about it in a video, and you had to do therapy. Was it a joke, or did you really?
No, we tried it, and to me, and if you're a therapist listening to this, I'm going to apologize right now, but talk therapy was worthless to me.
Really?
Because you sit on the stupid couch, you tell them your problems, and then all they do is start asking these questions, because that's the way they're trained with traditional. I guess 1950s
it didn't work for you.
No, all they did is piss me off.
Okay.
So I didn't do that anymore. And I think probably the best therapy are two things. If you have a family, you immerse yourself in the family, spending time with them, because those are people that love you no matter what, even if you are a failure. And then you immerse yourself in the next idea. And, how are you going to get back up on your feet and do it right the next time? And that's the best therapy. It really is. Some people can do better, with talk therapy. That's great. And today there's much more accepted alternative styles that are much more successful. But this was 20 years ago, so I didn't like the technology back then.
No? Okay.
But.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing all of these. Do you have a last advice you would like to share for maybe some people who are struggling actually when they're watching the video?
Yeah. If you're at that stage, well, it depends. If you're in the middle of a business that's struggling and that fear voice is starting to get louder than the desire for success voice, then really do some inside work. Do something. Let that voice talk, but then talk back. And really start planning about how you can make the business successful, get different customers, think of alternative ways of income so that voice gets smaller and smaller. If you're watching this and you just failed miserably and you're sitting on your couch and you're about to drink yourself to death or something, get up off the couch, start writing creative journals, doing something. Get outside, get sunshine, spend time with people, and
do something to break the cycle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do some
bad thoughts and
stop the self-pity, because it's a vicious, deep quicksand type hole. The more you struggle, the deeper you go, and you got to just get out of that part, and even if you have to go get a job to make it through that process. That's okay too. There's nothing wrong with that. You just know that that's temporary, and that's going to help you put food on the table and keep your responsibilities going until that next piece comes along. So,
awesome.
Yep.
And so, just before we finish the interview, I'm sure like people are really curious about why you have pink hair. So can you elaborate on that? Is it like your traditional hairstyle?
No. So I'm a big football fan. Kansas City Chiefs, born and raised from Kansas City.
Okay.
And so we had
something incredible happened.
Yes. And we had a bet going that if they made it to the Super Bowl, then I would shave my head, put a little arrowhead in here, and then paint it red.
So it was shaved.
So I did. I had the shave. I had the KC thing. I had this all red. It was wonderful. We went to the Super Bowl game. We got to see them win, and it was fantastic. Well, the next day, I'm washing this hair. I'm trying to get all the stuff. It didn't come out. It stained my hair, and it just went to hot pink instead of red.
So you are stuck for a few weeks?
I think I'm gonna have to go have it shaved off just to get rid of the color.
Dude, it was worth it. It's awesome. Look at that. And that's also what you can do when you have the freedom, when you created your own path and you have the money and you don't care, That's what you can do.
We might decide to keep it.
But strangely enough, Rick is not the first pink person with pink hair I interviewed on this channel, because I interviewed Sonia Simone from Coffee Blogger, and she had pink hairs too. But you're the first pink-haired guy I interviewed on my channel. Congratulations,
awesome.
man. So, by Intelligence Rebel, I hope you enjoyed this interview. If you are still watching, I think you did. Thank you, Rick, for sharing everything. It's very interesting.
Yep.
So thank you. So to complement this, you can receive a free excerpt of my upcoming book in English about, we don't have a definitive title yet, but it will be something maybe like Why C Students Rule the World, or The Intelligence Rebel, something like that. I'm a school dropout, you are a school dropout, so you can drop out of school and still have a lot of success. And my book is about how to have success in life, how to create your own path, how to get your own adventure. If you succeed or not in school, it's not important. And for the excerpt is 3 principles to win in every field of your life based on science. And to receive it, you just click on the link below or the link that appears on the screen to tell me at what email address I have to send you the PDF, and with pleasure, I will send it to you in just a few seconds. Thank you for watching. See you soon. And meanwhile, don't forget, be intelligent, be rebel, and like Rick, well, if you have some struggles in your life, just know that it's normal, and at some point you can recover and kick ass.
Yep.
See you.